Okay, guys, this is gonna be the official update to tier list. So I'm gonna kind of speed run it through this time because this is a second take. So starting off, we'll talk about some of the trash stuff. So these units are straight trash. Like, if you ever see these like in the banner, skip banner. Hold on, let me get all of them. Where are they at? Where are they at? Oh. Mashal's trash. Dofi is now bad. He's not a banner unit, but they're all bad. Okay, so these units are trash because like Pain's just like the worst return of investment and damage. Toby's not worth the slow. The getting the mythic crystal and evolving this guy is just bad. Like you're better off just farming for crocodile and getting gold. Uh, or just using Emu. Mashal needs 3 crystals just to hit a little bit harder than some of the physicals on the ground. And now that JJK's out, he's just completely crept, and Shanks was always better than him. And Dofi like lost his string, and his whole CC leash is just like not worth it. Like the 300 damage that you'd be hitting extra for like the upgrade to Dofi over just Emu stunning is just trash because Emu just stun placement. I'm not gonna rank the EXP food, but honorable mentions for getting by. I'll just yeah, honorable mentions for getting by. Kizaru's a really good legend to snipe. Uh, for supports, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Emu and Nezuko. Who, if you get Emu and Nezuko, they're like good support units. Emu is like meta for Infinite. It can be helpful in raids. And then Nezuko is just better Sakura. So you can snipe Sakura to help your team or like to help your own fight to do extra damage if you have nobody for that slot. But Nezuko is like a triple hit version of Sakura, so she won't miss. Uh, Next, let's talk about Erwin is also like a really bad character. I'll put him a little bit ahead of Pain because the summons are pretty good. For like earlier portions. Next for noob traps, we got Aaron. You can put him in a Broachy buff, but you're just better off having a unit that can actually do damage than waiting on this Titan to show up. Sabo's a noob trap. He just sucks. He's just like worse Rengoku, even if you evolve him. Uh, what else? Megu is a noob trap. He's not worth your time because he's just a slow unit on upgrade 5. Like, the thing about him is his range is poor. Like, if he had decent range, you could just skip the crocodile, but since he's just like mid range and it's all ground, crocodile hits like such a further range and great burst on upgrade 3 that he's not worth your time. If you snipe him, he'll do it like a getting by thing, but if he's like your sole mythic, he's gonna let you down. Inosuke fell off. Honestly, so did Zenny. Zenny's bad just because he's like an RNG stun, and then Inosuke is like a placement slow, but since the new raid map is like so big, Inosuke is not going to be doing any work because you're just going to want to have range instead. And then Zenny's like RNG stun may be helpful in something like leaderboard, but since his placement is so like narrow and a lot of the newer units that are good have great range, you're just better off just like not having him on your spot anymore for like meta stuff. Next for getting by, we got Itaru. If you're using Yuji, You're hoping for the 20 fingers to get Sukuna, but he's going to be on your bench forever. He's solid because he's got like a bleed effect. So if you like level him up, he'll do some work. And oh, also, Akainu's trash. People try to bait and say, you get 2 mythic crystals, you can have him as like a great hill. But the problem with Akainu is his damage isn't great for a hill. Like, it was always outclassed by Boo and Levi, and the fact that you have to evolve them to get them to decent hill status when there's just better hills right now. The only thing I can realistically say is if you already have them as your hill, you might as well use them because the new raid map, it's really bad with flyers. So you could say getting by, but I'm being generous to Kainu, honestly. Noob Trap, I gotta say Toji. Toji is especially bad because it's 3 mythic crystals to basically get a Diet Coke in Osuke. His range is poor and he's overall just bad. And speaking of another, range is poor or just bad attack animations in general. Levi cannot hit runners on upgrade 1, or I mean on placement in the new map. So unless you're just solely aiming for flyers, you're gonna need to max your Levi, or he's not gonna be able to hit anything on the new raid map. So he's just kind of like a getting by unit. Next, I'm gonna throw in Rengoku. Rengoku kind of fell off because he's unobtainable now. He's unobtainable. So since you can't get him anymore and he's just a bit better Sabo, he's just one of those units that if you happen to have him, you got better burst damage, but he's still just a ground unit, so he's only just going to be helping out with like overall damage, but not necessarily cooking like he used to, because now it's not a magic meta. The airs are magic resist, which he can't help with, but to move on to our other supports, we got what is it? Let's actually finish up the getting by. Majin Buu is still like one of the best like hills that you can have to cook airs. Now you have to play new raids kind of like slow with Majin Buu. Otherwise, he'll get overwhelmed, but he's definitely a character that you want to bring to the table as your hill damage. And speaking of hill damage, Ghetto is him this update. He's like the strongest hill in the game besides the older unobtainable unit, which is Megu. Megu makes the new Naruto raids free as long as you're not being careless. Moving back to support, we got Crocodile is still really good. 500 gold and just doing raids to get a free slow, great range, great attack chain unit. Then we got Akaza, who does great damage still. He's still one of the strongest hitting grounds. For another great damage, this is for infinites only, because Shanks sucks on the new raid map. This is why he's at the bottom of it. He still hits for like 4 grand. So under a Brochi buff, he's going to be cooking whatever infinite run you're doing. But be mindful of the fact that his range is so poor on that new raid map that he's kind of fallen off. For the next two, I'm going to go ahead and put Yuta next. Yuta's a hybrid, so he's automatically just better, but he's so hard to obtain. So I'm willing to put him as arguably the best DPS character in the game right now. But because he's so hard to get, I'm going to keep him right here. And then for meta supports, Kumi and Gojo are actually incredibly solid as units in general. Her being able to slow and also summon units just makes the early game in the raid just fantastic, and it helps with bosses. Gojo, however, is like a hybrid, so you won't have to deal with the pesky airs in raids. So if you want to farm that new Naruto raid up early, you're gonna need them. And then as for like the final secret, Brochi is just like a great unit to fill out that like 6 slot, and your team is gonna need at least like 2 of them. Otherwise, otherwise the raid's gonna be very difficult since the 2 lanes split immediately and there's runners. An honorable mention to Bulma, who if somebody on your team is farming Bulma, then your whole team's just getting money quicker, which is gonna help with the early game. And that's the list, guys.